Joining us today are Democratic leaders, Deputy Senate Majority Leader Paul Sarlo and Assembly Speaker Vincent Prieto, and Republican leaders, Senate Minority Leader Tom Kean and Assembly Minority Leader John Bramnick. Let's have a round of applause for our legislative leaders. And to make this panel even more exciting, our facilitator today, I'd like to introduce our moderator, Steve Adubato, who many of you know as the host of Caucus New Jersey and Capitol Report. Steve, it's all yours.
Good morning, everyone. It is my honor, my pleasure to be here. Good morning, Bernie. My honor, my pleasure to be here on behalf of the public television community in the state of New Jersey, otherwise known as NJTV. Representing all of our colleagues on that side of the world to facilitate a very spirited, otherwise known as respectful dialogue among our colleagues on the legislative side. Talking about important business issues, talking about important issues that affect the people in the state of New Jersey. So I'm going to ask that we keep our comments concise and to the point. Is there a reason you're laughing? Assemblyman? I'm also going to ask that we get as much participation as possible. I assure you that every issue that we could possibly get into this conversation, we will. But at the same time, we have an hour. So let me ask you this. People in this room are clearly engaged and chose to be here with the Business and Industry Association. Michelle and her team put together a great conference. You also have other business leaders, Tom and others. The chambers are here. But here's the question. People have come down here, labor leaders, business leaders, public policy folks, academic folks. The number one issue that the people in this room should be expecting you and your colleagues to come together and deal with in the legislature, other than the Transportation Trust Fund, which we don't have enough time to deal with this morning, because we'll never get out of the garage with that one. What would you say, Mr. Speaker, the number one issue that the people in this room connected to business, the business of the state, should expect you and your colleagues to succeed on in 2016? Number one issue, what is it?
Well, I got to tell you, you said we can't take the Transportation Trust Fund out of the garage, but we have to, because that is what's going to spur the dominoes to effect to get to the problem. And the problem is making New Jersey more affordable. And everybody in the business climate will tell you, we want to be able to attract businesses to the state of New Jersey, make it more affordable, but keep businesses here. And we need revenues in the state of New Jersey, and we need to do the right thing. That's why I've been working on for lame duck to reinstate the BEEP and working together with the key stakeholders to be able to do something that was promised to them and keep our promises. And there's a lot of challenges in the state of New Jersey, but you can't just say, we can't talk about Transportation Trust Fund because it's got to get done. And that is the first key to getting everything started.
I didn't say you couldn't. What I said was, other than that, what's the other important issue? And you're saying you can't talk about anything else until you deal with that.
That's not quite what I said. I said that is the first
media,
component.
so I frame it the way
that
I
is the
choose
first
to.
component to get to the root of what they say, making New Jersey affordable, business climate to be better, to be able to come to New Jersey and stay in New Jersey.
It's got to be done. Do you agree with that?
Agree with what? What I agree with.
He doesn't pay a lot
Do
of
I
attention.
agree that the only issue is, no, I think the problem is taxes. I was down in Florida a week ago. I'm checking out of a supermarket. The woman goes, sees something from New Jersey on my shirt, goes, I just couldn't afford to live there. I lived in Point Pleasant. It was so expensive. You know, now I'm paying $800 a year. The problem is it's too expensive for most New Jerseyans. When we knocked on doors during this recent campaign, a lot of people were either gone or on their way out. The crisis here is not, Transportation Trust Fund is going to be fixed. You can count on that. And I also believe there will be some gas tax. It will be fixed. But what is not being fixed is the climate of high taxes, difficult to do business in this state, and the cost of dying here.
So don't worry about that other thing.
Look, we're not going to let the roads close. At some point, government is going to fix it because it's a crisis. They have to do it, and that's actually the only time government actually works in a crisis. And just one last.
Senator, why are you staring at your colleague like that?
Because hey, senators always stare at assembly people like that. Like, he don't know what he's
I mean, you
talking
guys live like 2 blocks away from each other.
And we are never in crisis
He
either.
makes me call him senator.
In the neighborhood, you really have to call him. You have to call him
Yeah.
senator in the neighborhood.
Yes.
Yes, Senator. Senator
First of all,
Sarlo.
the Senate is never in crisis.
It's never in crisis. Go
The
ahead.
Senate is always under control. Now, listen, I think three things that for those folks that are sitting here in the room, we have to remember here in New Jersey, since the economic downturn of 2009, unfortunately, New Jersey's economy still lags the rest of the nation. It's lagging the rest of the nation for a whole host of reasons, and our economy is not growing at the leaps and bounds as some of our neighboring states. We're still well below the national average. We need to invest in transportation, make a major investment in transportation and infrastructure. When you make an investment in transportation and infrastructure, your people get to work quicker, you get to move goods and products quicker. It helps all the business folks in this room. Clearly, the climate is always concerning, but at the end of the day, we need to make this investment in transportation infrastructure, and we need to grow the economy.
I hear you, but Senator Kean, in an interview we just did, we got to interview all of your colleagues. All 4 of you were interviewed for Capitol Report out in the hallway, and I thank the Business and Industry Association for providing that forum for us for Capitol Report. And Senator Kean talked about this, the fact that, in fact, at the Business Outlook survey that was done, made it crystal clear that many of your members, in fact, came back, Michelle, and said that the ability to expand their companies they were concerned about because of the high cost of doing business. It's exactly what you talked about.
Well,
Is that it, Senator?
It's what everybody in this room is talking about. Let's be honest. Everybody sat on our panel, everybody sitting at your table is talking about how unaffordable too many aspects of New Jersey are. And when you've looked at since 2004, $19 billion of taxable income has left the state of New Jersey, whereas in New Jersey there's $19 billion less of taxable income in the state of New Jersey since 2004, $70 billion left over time. That simply means that people are moving out of the state. And they're moving out of the state not just to Florida, but they're moving out of the state to Pennsylvania. They're moving out of the state to Texas. They're moving out of the state to a number of different places simply because Pennsylvania doesn't tax retirement income, doesn't tax deferred income, for example. They're moving to other places that protect first domiciles like Florida, and they're not paying income taxes. What we need to focus on is making sure that every one of your employees, every other person at the table says, I want to be in New Jersey 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Because too many times, people and families are saying, 20 years from now, I don't see myself in the state of New Jersey. And if you don't see your family, your kids, and your grandkids in the state of New Jersey 20 years from now, then people start making different decisions about what they're going to do in their business, different decisions about what they're going to do and what they're going to pay for over time. And what you need to focus on first and foremost is creating an environment that says, over the course of the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, my family and I, my business and I, whatever the organization is and I, are going to stay in the state of New Jersey and make a concerted effort to make those decisions. But we in government need to make sure they can afford to do it.
Name one policy, Senator, excuse me for interrupting. Name one policy that you guys can do. Say it
Charitable
again?
deductions, for example. Well, keeping the promise on BEEP, the Speaker is working on that already, and I think we can get that done by
Charitable
lame duck.
deductions?
But so first of all, keep the promise on BEEP and lame duck. That's very important. I was taken out of a budget a year and a half ago, wrongly. We need to put that back in, and the Speaker's doing a great job on keeping that promise in the fall. But on charitable deductions right now, if you look at that $70 billion of wealth that left the state of New Jersey over the course of about 5 years, that meant $2 billion of taxable income tax revenue, but also $1.3 billion of charitable giving. And those charities, whether they be education, whether they be arts, whether they be health, whether they be your religious affiliation, those individuals are the closest to people who are in need. And what happens if those individuals and those entities dry up, that means they're not able to help their neighbors. And so we need to make sure that charitable deductions are part of a solution going forward.
And that's legislation?
Yeah, I do have legislation.
And where are we on that, Mr. Speaker?
that's something we can look at, and and I'm all for.
I'm
Cheryl,
sorry,
but
we can look at in
we-
Trenton. What exactly does
well,
that mean?
this is exactly, and let me.
Just want to understand.
Let me
I haven't been
sort
there
of
in a while.
make myself clear on that. Absolutely. We want to send a good message out there for people to be able to give to the most needy, and that's understandable. But again, this is what happens. Anytime you do anything like that, as when we give tax incentives, that's money we don't collect. So I'm being realistic, and that's why I said to all of you when we started, everything is intertwined and connected. As you're trying to get the TTF out of the garage, you need money to compensate for this because, listen, my friend Assemblyman Bramnick talks about 110 initiatives that they have put out there. And you know what? They're great. You know what I did? I looked at them, the ones that did not overlap each other, and looked at them. And guess what? Those are great. Some of them are great initiatives, but they come with a price tag. Either effect to the current budget or cost to a future budget. It's about $5 billion. We need the revenues to offset that. So we want to lower your taxes, not 10%. We would like to lower them 20%. 20% is $5 billion. So you know what? We need revenue. So before we can start doing all the good things the senator is talking about, we need to be realistic. We need to live within our means. That's why we're in the problem we have here. We have borrowed beyond our means.
But Mr. Speaker, isn't it fair to say, and your Republican colleagues and others can jump in here, is the argument on the other side that you're never going to get that revenue anyway because if people leave the state, if people aren't making those contributions, if people aren't in New Jersey, then they're not paying those taxes and somehow you never get the... I mean, I'm not going to make the argument for you. I just heard you make it enough times. I'm just repeating what you say. Is that what you say?
It's pretty close.
That's pretty close. That's what I hear you say all the time.
So here's the point, that if the four of us, the four leaders, and the governor had a press conference once a month, and we started off with a press conference where we took any of those tax reduction bills, I don't care if it's a state income tax, I don't care if it's a trust and estate or inheritance and estate tax, something, give some hope as a leadership group on a bipartisan basis that we're starting to move in the right direction. Because now we're in two camps, and three camps, because the governor as well, and the public and the business community needs to hear one voice out of Trenton, even if we just talk about one small issue.
Yeah, but let me just counter that a second.
Sure.
Listen, we have done that, and to sit and once a month and give you lip service, that doesn't help you.
I hope it's not lip service.
No, because John, in 2013, we did the Opportunity Economic Act to be able to make New Jersey a better place for a business climate. So that is
It was beautiful,
and we've been doing that.
It was a beautiful thing?
And
it was beautiful.
It costs money, John.
Steve, I just want...
I understand, but in
Senator
order,
Sarlo, were you a part of that or just on the Assembly side?
I've sponsored pretty much over the last 6 years most of the major tax credits and tax incentives. We've done a bunch of them. We've done a bunch of business tax cuts as well in my committee as well as in the Assembly, and they've been signed into law in the last 6 years. And our economy, unfortunately, is still lagging. But I just want to go back to two things. And I would like to hear from my two colleagues here because we talked in a short period of time. We talked about the need to invest in infrastructure and transportation, but we also talked a little bit about people fleeing to at their retirement income. And I believe that there will be plenty of Democratic support to phase out the estate tax.
Enough to get it done?
Phase out the estate tax and on the Senate side, as well as raising the retirement income. Now, I'm not just talking about those who have public pensions. I'm talking about folks with IRAs and 401ks, private sector folks. That, we hear it. We've had forums around the state of New Jersey. That will go a long way in keeping people here in New Jersey. And I would like to hear from them. Are they willing to support those concepts along with a gas tax to make a major investment in infrastructure? It's a tax fairness issue that the governor was talking about. The fund is broke. We're out of time.
Senator, I hear
so
you
let's put the three things on the table and let's vote for it.
That's fair. Before you do that,
Can they get the membership to do it in a bipartisan manner?
Before you negotiate in public. I have no problem. Listen. You said you have enough. You believe you have enough votes.
Can my good friend Tom Kean get 10 votes?
How many votes do you think you have? Since you put it out there, how many Senate votes do you think you have?
I think if you put the combination of those three things on the table, you could get 21 Senate Democratic votes.
To do what exactly?
To phase out the inheritance, the estate tax. Phase out the estate tax. Raise the retirement, the exemptions on the retirement income for both pensions, 401k, IRAs, and alike, and then make a significant investment in infrastructure. Not a 2-year plan or a 3-year plan. Let's do this once. We've been kicking this down the road. Republican and Democratic governors, Republican and Democratic
You can get 21 votes for that.
Yes.
My applause. How many people like that idea? Okay, now, before we move to the Republican side, Mr. Speaker, you and your colleagues in the Assembly, after the last election, you may have remembered that, Assemblyman. There was an election in November.
Yeah.
I appreciate you
John
bringing that up.
remembers. He's got the scars.
Well, why are you being so snarky about it? I just,
Hey, Steve, how long were you in the Assembly?
oh, that was not fair.
That worked real well, huh?
That's right.
You remember that?
I deserved every bit of that.
2 years.
One
You
short,
won- one term,
short
2
and very
years.
distinguished term.
And then when you went and got your PhD,
Oh,
didn't
stop.
you?
No one remembers it. But
What?
let me ask you. Mr. Speaker, your Senate colleague sitting in for the Senate
I didn't mean to put you on
President,
the spot.
No.
sitting in for the Senate President says we can get 21 votes to do what he just said. Big deal. Making news today. What can you do with your colleagues on the Assembly side? Go ahead.
Listen, everything the budget chairman in the Senate said is what was on the table when we were in discussions with the governor that I wanted to do this December of last year. I was up in front talking about a gas tax, talking about the estate tax, because the estate tax in the state of New Jersey, it's 675 million threshold. It's ludicrous how low it is. And then when you hit it, you go back to $1. The federal level is $5.4 million. So that's been on the table.
You can get the votes. How many
we
Republican votes do
we
you have in the
definitely
Assembly
can
right
get the
now?
votes for that.
All I can tell you is, I told you, a crisis is looming. We're about to solve the problem. That is the
Roadblock,
way.
roadblock, there it is.
This is the discussion that we've been calling for.
But-
Talk about some other taxes, and I said from day one,
John,
I'm absolutely.
They're on
willing
the
to-
table for a year.
Whoa. What was on the table for a year?
What we just talking about, what Paul framed
Well, why
out.
didn't you pass it then? You have 41 votes. You
But
could have passed it.
John, at the end of the day, what
Hold
have
on,
I
hold
ever
on.
said?
That's not good.
Everybody has to
I'll
understand.
do a Bernie
Mr.
Sanders.
Speaker, one
That's not
second.
good bipartisan.
Why didn't you pass it?
Assemblyman, one second. Mr.
everybody-
Speaker, are you in agreement on the estate tax that it needs to be
They could pass it in both houses, right?
They
changed?
could pass it,
Absolutely,
They can
but-
pass it in
One
both
second, one
houses.
second. Are you in
Well,
agreement?
there was an election. I guess the Assembly
Senator,
Republicans.
Wait a minute.
Senator,
All of a
Senator.
sudden, they need us.
Senator, respectfully, are you in agreement with your Senate colleague that you have enough Democratic votes to do exactly what he said, just on the estate tax? Forget about the gas tax.
It
Has to be.
has to be
package.
together. It has to be a package for tax fairness. And that's what it has been.
Okay.
But let me say this, and this is where John becomes disingenuous.
Okay, let him
And this is where John becomes disingenuous. And I'm telling you, because at the end, we have 41 and we have passed it. Then why are they in the Assembly? They need to be partners. I said everybody has to jump off the cliff together, so that
Why is
way
it off a
there's
cliff?
well, listen, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance did it, so we should be able to. So at the end of the day, that's not right. That to say we have it, then
That's
why
okay.
are you in the Assembly for?
It's a good discussion. I think it's exactly what we're supposed
Is
to
it
do.
jumping off a cliff?
But it is.
Okay.
Anytime you
Okay.
raise,
That's
a
why you
tax,
gotta do it together, John.
Anytime you raise,
Is
a
it
tax-
not doing it is also jumping off a cliff because we continue to lose people to Florida and other
Absolutely,
states on
too.
the estate tax?
Absolutely.
Put your hands up. Be a part of this discussion. Let's go. Because I know you're getting a show for free up here, but put your hands up if you want to be part of the discussion. You've got leaders in the business community, the education community, labor community. Come on, be a part of the discussion. I'll just listen. Yes, Jim. Jim, tell everyone who you are.
Jim Perkins, Maryland Chamber of Commerce. I don't want to put my other chamber colleagues on the spot, but I will tell you, we're ready to jump off the cliff with you. Get
Yeah.
it done.
Absolutely.
What's it?
What's it?
What the Assembly Speaker just said, a bipartisan approach to all the low-hanging fruit items. Inheritance tax, transportation trust fund, some other business regulations, they're low-hanging fruit. Let's get it done
I agree.
right now.
It's the
Put them
estate
all
tax, Steve. Let's
together?
just clarify, estate tax.
State tax.
Go ahead. And you package these together. It could be done in the State House. You package them together, put them all together. Tom Bracken, you like that? Tom Bracken has spoken. Okay. Okay, let's move. Any other issues? By the way, the outlook, Michelle, let me put you on the spot. surveyed how many, put it in context again, I know you gave a terrific report. How many business professionals were surveyed, number one?
Okay, we surveyed our members, which is 20,000 businesses across the state of New Jersey, but the respondents were over 1,100. So over 1,100 businesses across the entire state, every county, every industry represented in the results.
If you were to characterize, and there are a whole range of interesting pieces of information that came back, I don't know if these issues in particular came up. Is it the larger question of how difficult it is to do business in the state of New Jersey? Is it the climate overall that kept coming back?
Yes. What we heard is positive outlook for 2016, short term. We asked our members about long-term planning, and what they said is cost of doing business is driving up concern and impacting their long-term decision-making. 67% say estate and inheritance tax is impacting long-term decision-making. 62% said they will not make New Jersey their domicile in retirement. That is a cautionary sign that we should heed.
Steve, can I just?
Yeah.
The Senate Democrats recently held a bunch of panels about retirement income around the state of New Jersey, and we met with some retired executives from AARP and others, and we talked a little bit about where they want to live when they retire, right, and the need to move to Florida, okay? So the question came up with, by rolling back the estate tax, phasing out the estate tax, raising that exemptions on the retirement income for those who have 401ks or an IRA or a pension. Same question was posed at that. If you're so concerned, why don't you move your family, your son and your daughter and your grandchildren so you're close to your grandchildren? The response was, no, I don't want my grandchildren to be educated in Florida. They get the best education possible in New Jersey. So I'll come back and forth because they're getting a great education in Jersey. The second question I said to them, God forbid you were to get sick, sir. God forbid you were to get sick in Florida. He said, everybody knows if I'm too sick to fly, they better send a car for me. I want to be back in Hackensack University Medical Center. That's where I want to be treated. I want to be close to Manhattan and the health institution, medical facilities there. So, I understand the need to go there and move your income on the taxes. If we could deal with this estate tax, deal with this retirement income.
Let him finish, I'll come back to
close to their
Hang on a second.
grandchildren.
Think about that on a human scale, right? You are forcing people, that entire conversation was about forcing individuals to move out of the state of New Jersey, to stay away from their families for 6 months and a day or more. I mean, that entire conversation was about everything that in the state of New Jersey that's forcing people to make decisions to be away from where they created their income, where their friends are, where their neighbors are, where their families are. That's the environment that we need to change fundamentally. We've got great schools, and we need to make sure that the colleges are more affordable now and over time. We need to make sure that the people who are going to start the next job, people are growing divisions of companies, and they're moving them out of the state of New Jersey because it's simply unaffordable at certain points of time. So first and foremost, we've got to make sure we've got the strongest hospital system in the world. We've got the strongest research focus. We've got to focus on job creation in every single industries. And the Senate Republicans have sponsored, and you can see on Senate NJ, a 36-bill job package that doesn't cost a dime and creates a lot more efficiencies.
A job package?
Yes, 36
Creating
bill.
jobs?
It would, well, no government program actually creates jobs. It would create environment for more people to invest in the state of New Jersey at focusing on everything from research issues to tourism to getting rid of red tape and inefficiencies. And it's a 6-pillar package that we had brought in a number of individuals tour the state last summer to focus on ways to bring people into the state, keep people in the state of New Jersey, and make sure that we can focus on research and innovation.
But
So
it doesn't
first and
create,
foremost-
quote, government jobs.
No, it doesn't create government jobs. It creates more efficiency so that more people can,
And you could agree with that,
can
Senator.
create jobs.
All of us have wonderful ideas. They all have wonderful ideas of how we could help improve the business climate. But let's take some of the, as my friend Jim Kirko said, and my friend Tom Kean sitting here, let's take 3 off the table right now. I just laid out 3 plans. And I don't hear from the Senate Republicans how many votes they're going to put up for 3 things that are very important to the people in this room.
It's
That's
very
a
interesting.
roadblock.
It's
Let's do
very
it
interesting.
bipartisanly.
Is there all of a sudden?
They keep saying there's 21 Democrats. Then we don't need the Senate Republicans.
We've been talking about
that's not what we
this.
said.
We've
You
been
know better
talking
than that,
about
Paul.
this
You know
for
better
a
than that.
year.
I'm tired of
For a year
talking
we've
about it.
been
Let's do it.
Wait, we've been talking about tax
Isn't
fairness.
bipartisanship in the State House a beautiful thing? I mean, is it not? Is it not a beautiful thing?
Hey,
I mean,
Steve,
seriously.
That's why
You're
we
not asking
need-
the question, Steve.
Well, what's the question you want me to
How
ask?
many votes are the
think-
Senate Republicans going to provide for that package?
For a
Watch this,
hypothetical
watch this.
plan
One second,
that
gentlemen,
doesn't
gentlemen,
bring-
gentlemen,
that
one at a
nobody's
time.
seen, Paul?
We don't
Senator?
own.
You know
we
better
don't
than that,
own
Paul.
the votes.
You know
but I
better
can
than
tell
that.
you,
Senator.
this is the right discussion. This is the. But let me just ask you this question.
Yes.
How often do you think 4 leaders get in a room in Trenton? Almost never. True.
Is that really true?
Never.
So this does not
Almost
happen?
Never. And I'm saying that should be the demand of the people in this state and the people in this room. You 4 and Steve Sweeney and the governor need to be in the room working just like you.
listen,
I'm
listen,
only budget chairman. I'm not allowed to get a table.
Hold on one
We-
second.
We
Listen,
talk
one
from
second.
other ends.
I'm not allowed to
of the
get
earth.
no table.
And before everybody
talk-
starts,
Speaker, one second, John.
wait, John, and
Mr. Speaker?
I'm going to call you out again, and I always do that because I speak my mind.
I'm-
We were on another forum. You actually said the same thing.
Yeah.
We all agreed. Tom Branken is sitting here in the room. He had come to see me. Tom, what did I say? I'm ready anytime, anywhere to meet
I didn't
anytime.
say you weren't- I didn't say you weren't
don't say
willing to
that.
do it.
So you're making
Mr.
believe
Speaker,
that this
are you
conversation
saying,
hasn't
to be
happened.
clear,
I
to
wasn't
be clear,
blaming you for that.
well, we'll put it this way. The accusation is, the charge is that in this case, Senator Sarlo is sitting in for the Senate
He can
President.
come.
Senator Sarlo is sitting in for the Senate President. But the charge is, what you are saying is that the 4 legislative leaders do not sit around on a regular basis and don't really sit around at all and have meaningful, honest, uncomfortable, but relevant and important dialogue. That's scary.
Correct.
You know what?
There's separate
let me
press
tell you,
conferences.
And just so everybody knows here, the Senate President and myself sit with the governor on a regular basis. That's true. So that is a fact. And
that is true.
as John wants to frame it, we have 41, they have 21. Then if they want to be irrelevant in the conversation, then you keep talking the way he was talking. That's not fair. And that's why we talk
not-
with the
first of all,
executive.
I'm not
And
blaming-
that's a truthful, and
I'm not-
anybody there, I can tell you, I'll take a lie detector test. Everything I'm telling you is the honest truth.
But Steve-
that I'm telling you.
But Steve, we just laid out.
Has anyone ever seen the Al Pacino movie Justice for All? The scene, like you're out of control. Like this is out of control.
Steve,
but
it's not- wait,
No, but Steve,
this is not out of control.
Steve, we're talking past you.
Get control.
I didn't say it was a
What do you mean getting
speaker's
control?
fault.
You're being honest with each other. You're being honest in front of. You are showing people how the sausage is made, and I was told you were never supposed to do that. You are telling people we don't talk to each other.
Wait, that's
We
not
don't-
what I'm saying.
not true.
I
That's
call
not
the
true.
speaker, he picks up right away, I talk to him. I'm saying the
Now
four...
he talked to him. I don't know.
All I'm saying is the
he
4
did
of
it.
us and the governor in a room regularly, it's just...
And why do you think that is the case?
I believe it's the nature of politics and government, which has become more and more alienated from each other.
And why do you think it's the case, Mr.
Well,
Speaker?
and I got to tell you, it's for us. We actually have a good working relationship, and John will tell you. I call him on many things to give him a heads up and talk to him about things that are coming along. And you know what? I actually said, if the 4 leaders want to get together, I'm more than happy to do that. Again, the Senate President and myself sit with the governor on a regular basis. Even though a lot of people will tell you he's out of the state and all that, he still makes himself available.
Has
And-
he been accessible
and
to you?
He has been
Has
accessible.
been accessible to the Senate President?
Yes, he has.
Accessible enough?
Yeah, yes, I would say
Okay,
yes.
so here's my question
on
to you.
that-
Follow up.
Yes, sir.
In all candor, since you're putting it all out there, and
Yeah.
you're from Hudson County, and you don't hold back,
Tell us it is. I tell it as it is.
do you actually believe that given the fact that you have the access that you do to the governor, you have the conversations you do with the governor, you and the Senate President talk to the governor the way you do you actually believe that it's all that relevant for you to be engaged with your 2 colleagues right here?
I think it is. I think it's important because of doing the things that I've been talking to them and saying we need to do this in a bipartisan way. So politics, as everybody knows here, policy and politics are intertwined. So if you take that aspect, and that's why a year ago, I started talking about TTF and saying let's get it done before it became January of 15. So then everybody was in election mode. That way everybody has cover. And that's why we need to talk, because a lot of times you'll get things accomplished that everybody, listen, great legislation, you've all heard it from me. nobody likes it because somebody loves it, somebody hates it. Good legislation we can all live with. And if we each get something out of it, everybody can vote for it. And it's not that, oh, you got 41, you got 21, you do it. And then you're going to bask from what we get done, and then politically you're going to capitalize on it. No.
The
Yes, Senator.
best legislation is always that which is bipartisan in nature.
I agree.
Because what happens is you're able to work to find the issues that are in different parts of the state, in different sections of the economy, in different priorities, and working hard to make sure that those are relevant. The best way you can do that
Sure.
is by making sure that the conversations are had early and often and frequently. And what happens is,
Right.
the nature of the structure of the legislature, Steve, as you may well recall, is it's Mondays and Thursdays. There is no circumstance where it's overnight settings anymore. Other states have situations where you are there, more frequently, everything else. So what happens is a lot of the conversations by nature have to happen by phone. But the best possible way to build the communications is by having those conversations.
Let me ask you about
as
another
frequently as
issue.
humanly
Senator,
possible.
let me ask you about another issue. Paid sick leave, right? Where are we on it right now?
In my house, listen, I've been an advocate and I've told this group right now, I'm taking a wait and see approach because I have not been able to get something that everybody could live with. And at this point in time, that's not something that, it's a work in progress, but this is not something that I'm rushing out there. And I probably sat here 2 years ago
Yes.
and said it and mentioned it to everybody. And we talked about some people, over 70%, or I think maybe 72%, if I can recall correctly, of everybody in the room is doing that already. We want to be able to do the right thing for those workers. But again, it's not about rushing anything out there, something that's going to hurt businesses. So I am taking a careful wait and see approach to see something that we can get accomplished.
Not a top legislative priority for you.
At this point in time, it is top legislative priority, but at this point in time, I don't think we can get there.
What issue have we not raised that is a top business priority for the people in this room? What have we missed?
Well, I think I mentioned talking about the business incentive, that's something we took away. We're trying to figure out, instead of it being cash out, it may be a credit. So over that period of 5 years, we're working on a bill with the administration, and I think, on the Republican side, I think they would be on board with this, something that businesses would welcome to be able to be helpful to them. So that's something that we're trying to do now in lame duck.
Listen, Steve, I think people should walk away from this morning feeling positive. I believe, and I can't speak for my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, I really believe that the Democrats are prepared to phase out the estate tax, raise the retirement income threshold, make the investment in the infrastructure with the gas tax, put the BEAT program back in place, look at some other targeted incentives and tax credits for businesses through our respective budget committees.
Right.
We're talking about expansion of gaming in North Jersey. These are things that we are talking.
Is that going to happen?
I am confident. We're having very productive discussions, and I believe you will see that.
And I think
Gaming
this
up
will
in
be-
North Jersey.
On the gaming issue, one of the things that when you're looking at outside Atlantic City, one of the things that individuals have got to focus on is the fact that a lot of our open space, a lot of the industry regarding horse racing and those open space preservation,
Agreed.
it's a very important part of that conversation. And individuals are very concerned that type of open space preservation, if there is a conversation about North Jersey or expansion of opportunities outside of Atlantic City, in addition to other geographical issues, that's one concern that many people
And
throughout
one
the
other piece that we will
Yeah.
look, public-private partnerships, working with
Yeah.
some of our good business leaders and the higher ed community. We need to do more of those public-private partnerships.
and
that's happening in other
The
states.
casinos in the north, and and Jim Kirkles is here. We have a universe of people that come in that region of the Meadowlands region that come to visit New Jersey and New York and stay in New Jersey because it's so much cheaper. We have over about 10,000 hotel rooms that more than 80% in my town, more than 90% occupancy year round. Those people never went to Atlantic City. Don't go to Yonkers. Don't go to Bethlehem. If we capture that universe of people there, that could be income for the state of New Jersey. Then we could do a lot of the good things that we need to do to give you the right incentives, do the right atmosphere, give you the relief that you're seeking to be able to have your businesses flourish in the state of New Jersey.
When it comes to Atlantic City, there are some who actually believe, and I'm going to open up a Pandora's box, but there's some who actually believe that there are a whole bunch of folks who have said, listen, we've given up. We've done what we can do. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen down in AC.
Giving up?
Yeah, like this is pretty much it in terms of what state government can do. Can you do that
Well,
much more?
No,
How much more
I
can
can
state
tell you the
government do?
state government has to be fully involved.
Define
You know,
that.
Well, when you have property taxes that are skyrocketing, you cannot, I don't believe you can let Atlantic City go bankrupt.
Why not?
Well, one, the message that you send to the rating community on other towns and cities that may be struggling, and our bonds and the interest that we'd have to pay, if a state lets a major city go under, that is an incredibly bad message. So I believe that there is a working group that has been getting together with the governor.
We can't let Atlantic City go bankrupt.
Absolutely not.
Atlantic
You
City
cannot
can't,
let-
Atlantic City can't fail. It went
But
from a
you
$5.2
cannot let a city go
billion
back.
industry to 2.5. It's still a very large industry. You know what? By doing casinos in the north, you send a percentage of that to bolster their non-gaming.
Then why are
Because
so many Atlantic cities saying, how could you do this to us? How could you do this to us at this point by messing around up north?
But
if it's so great for them, why are they saying that?
Because they don't understand what I just said before. 10,000 hotel rooms, between 80 and 90% year-round. People that don't go to AC, you're going to capture a universe.
If we're looking
Yes
at
and yes.
AC,
Okay.
we need, and it will always be a casino destination.
Right.
And it's a very, too important a part of that economy. But you also need to make sure, as when the speaker was talking about a $5.5 billion down to a $2.5 billion revenue stream, you need to make sure that entertainment side is, so first of all, much more robust. So you need to make sure you get the access to ACs better than it is now, whether it be through road, rail, boat. You need to make sure that you have more opportunities for entertainment venues, ranging from vehicles to the number one stars coming in and entertaining, making sure that those A-list stars actually come in, participate, and then go to the other parts of the state. Whatever we can do to make sure that the entertainment
That's the state's
value
role?
goes up. No, we have to create the environment
Oh, okay.
that allows for that to happen. The state can't mandate that.
Right.
You can create the environment that the entertainment portion goes from $1 billion up to a $2 billion number, start to balance out that equation, and therefore you're getting back to the bondholders
And
the
Atlantic City has to be
Finally,
safe, and people have to
by
be able to
block.
walk the streets,
Block by
because when
block.
you go to Vegas, you walk out of the hotel, you walk to another hotel, there's a strip, and I think that the mayor now, Guardian, is doing a good job, but he's got a lot of.
Is he in
tough
control of
road.
the city?
I think this guy is fabulous.
Is he running the city?
Well, as much as you can when you have, the kind of struggles he has financially, but I think.
Senator, final comments on Atlantic City.
Final comment on Atlantic City is clearly the municipal government needs to get under control, and the amount of money that they've wasted over the years. We need to make this, the city safer. We need to get away from just gaming. I think you're going to end up with about 4 casinos there in the end of the day, and it becomes a lot more entertainment, as Tom is talking about. But without the source of revenue, the infusion of revenue from North Jersey gaming, Atlantic City can't survive. The expanding gaming in North Jersey is so critical to the survival of Atlantic City for non-gaming.
Where should it
There's
be
no
up?
new revenue that's going to be able to generate. You need to generate revenue. You need to capture the New York crowd, the Manhattan crowd, and other folks right now who are going to Pennsylvania, going to the other states. Need to capture that in North Jersey, take a portion of those proceeds, be able to send it back to Atlantic City, not invest in gaming down there, but non-gaming entertainment
Should it be in
attraction,
Bergen County or
create
Hudson
the environment.
Should this facility be in Bergen County or Hudson County?
One in,
How about
one in,
Sussex
one in
County?
each, one in each.
Well, no. So the market could support 2 casinos, 1 in Bergen, 1 in Hudson.
Listen, smarter people will put 1 or 2, whatever that
Smarter
number is,
people than-
everybody up here, because financial, that's
The
what
market
it's
will
up-
dictate.
The market will dictate.
The
as
market
you
will
know how to
dictate
run
where it
your
goes.
business.
On that
With
note,
all the money
yes.
you got, Steve, you want to make an investment?
Ladies and gentlemen,
we're
on that
good.
note, I'm going to ask you to join me and say thank you to our legislative leaders. Michelle, it's yours to close.
All right, well, once again, gentlemen, what a great discussion. I have to say, I started this morning saying it's all about optimism for 2016. If we could capture some of the collegiality, it got a little spicy, right? But capture the collegiality of the discussion today. Let's bottle that, gentlemen. Let's make something happen in 16. These businesses are counting on you sending strong, positive messages. These folks want regulatory and political certainty as they go into 2016. We're asking you to continue to work with us toward bringing that. We are here to work with you. BIA, State Chamber, all our regional partners who are here today. The business community is here to work with you, and we welcome it. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you.